This is the Framon number 2 code machine, which can originate virtually any type of key, including cylinder keys, automotive keys, both domestic and imported, flat locker keys, flat mailbox keys, safety deposit box keys, and also many high-security keys, such as Medico, Amhart, Asa, and Zaizaikan. All of these keys are originated by use of precision measurements. No accessories are required. You never need to purchase anything other than the machine itself. No cards, no discs, no plates. How can the Framon do this? Because the user has precision control over the X and Y travel of the key vise at all times in increments of 1/1000th of an inch. This allows you to originate keys with root depths as small as 115 thousandths or as great as 400 thousandths. The spacing travel is nearly 1.5 inches, which is over twice the travel required to cut a 5-pin Schlage key. The depth and spacing measurements for each cut are set by means of the spacing crank and depth crank. Once the proper measurements are set into the machine, the feed handle is pulled, which moves the entire vise assembly against a positive stop, feeding the key blank in a straight line into the cutter, completely eliminating the possibility of overcutting your key. The spindle assembly is equipped with an easy-to-use tilt feature, which allows you to originate all Medico and Amhart keys. The spindle assembly is locked into the correct position by a positive locking D10 pin. To illustrate the operation of the Framon machine, we'll originate a Schlage key from code. The basic principle shown here applies to virtually any key that you would originate on the Framon machine. This is the depth and spacing information manual, which is supplied along with the Framon machine. This book contains more than 300 pages of spacing and depth information. The first step in originating a key is to consult the spacing and depth manual to determine the information that we need to cut the key. In this case, we find that our distance from the shoulder to the first cut is 231 thousandths. Spacing from cut to cut is 156 thousandths. The book indicates that for this series, we should use spacing block number 1, which is stamped onto the end of the spacing block. The progressive spacings give us the exact position our spacing dial should read for each cut. This chart lists all the depths that we need to cut our key. In this example, we'll originate a Schlage key with the following cuts bow to tip: 5, 3, 7, 8, and 5. Insert the key into the vise using the bottom shoulder of the key against the vise as a stop. If the key does not have a bottom shoulder, use the shoulder stop, but be sure to flip it out of the way before cutting your key. Move the vise all the way to the left by turning the spacing crank counterclockwise. The vise will come to a solid stop against the stop screw. Turn the spacing crank clockwise to 0. Each revolution of the spacing crank is 50 thousandths of an inch. Turn the crank 4 times, which will bring us to 200. Then advance to 31. Our vise is now in the correct position to make our first cut. The distance from the shoulder to the center of the first cut varies between different manufacturers. This measurement is critical. All of your spacing measurements are based upon this figure. Once the spacing is set for the first cut, we then make sure that the number 1 spacing block is in the machine. Rotate the block around to 156. If the block needs to be changed, it can quickly be done by depressing the detente and sliding it out and replacing it with the proper block. Next, we need to align the first mark on the left-hand side of the spacing block with the pointer on the spacing plate. Once this has been done, we can cut an unlimited number of keys for the same series without ever changing the setting on our machine. Our next step is to set the proper depth setting for our first cut, which is a number 5 depth, which is 260 thousandths. Each revolution of the depth dial is 50 thousandths, so we come to 250, and then advance 10 more thousandths to reach 260. We're now ready to make our cut. Start the machine. Pull the feed handle until it comes to a complete stop. Rotate the spacing wheel until the second mark on the spacing block aligns with the pointer. Now we are ready to set the depth for our second cut, which is 290 thousandths. Our indicator pointer will be between 250 and 300, and we will read 40 on the dial. To make our second cut, simply pull the feed handle and then we turn the spacing wheel until the third mark on the block aligns with the pointer. Set our depth for the third cut, which is 230 thousandths. Pull the feed handle again. Then we set our spacing for the fourth cut. Set our depth for the fourth depth, which is 215 thousandths, and pull the feed handle. To make our fifth and final cut, we set our spacing for the fifth position, set our depth at 260, and pull the feed handle once more. Our key is now completely cut. Be sure to turn off the machine, and then we can remove our perfectly cut key.
There are 5 different ways to use the spacing clip. Use this section when the book calls for the forward spacing clip. The angled side is for best and other interchangeable core keys. The remaining 2 sides are only used with comma peaks keys.
Information on when and how to use the spacing clip is provided in the depth and spacing manual for each key series as required. Use the angled end of the spacing clip for the best and falcon keys. The angled end slips underneath the tip and against the stop to provide a positive alignment.
When using the forward spacing clip, slide the clip in from the left. Hold the clip in this position and move the key blank to the right until it touches the clip. Secure the key in the vise. For IC keys, the same procedure is used, except that the notch in the key should touch the clip. For flat spacing, hold the clip flat on the left side of the vise and slide the key in until the tip touches the clip. In essence, we are simply aligning the left side of the vise to the tip of the key.
The Framon Depth and Spacing Manual contains complete information on the use of the spacing clip as well as all other features of the Framon machine. When this machine was introduced in 1970, the book contained 89 different key series. Now it contains over 2,000 different key series, plus pertinent data on cutting each series, such as key blank number and read code book information. Another accessory provided with the Framon machine is this precision stainless steel machinist dial caliper. This caliper can be used for many purposes around the lock shop, but it's provided primarily for adjusting the machine, checking your work, and decoding unknown keys. The vise on the number 2 code machine is reversible and will hold most any key in use today. The wide side is used for the majority of code work and holds most keys without tipping. The narrow side is used for cutting small master padlock keys and metacode keys where a deep cut is necessary. Some best keys and a few of the foreign automotive keys tend to tip up and down in the vise. A brass shim is provided with the machine to allow the standard vise to hold these keys without tipping. If the key tips upward, place the shim on top of the key blank and clamp it in the vise. If the key tips downward, place the shim below the blank and clamp it. The shim is made of brass. and is designed so that it may be cut into it without damage to the cutter. The cutters supplied with the machines allow the user to cut virtually any cylinder key in use today. The FC8445 standard cutter will be used for almost all of your regular cylinder key cutting. Install the FC8735 cutter when cutting foreign automotive keys that have a short starting cut, which is noted in the book under the key series. The FFS 1045 slaughter is used for all flat steel or safety deposit box work.
There are now 6 spacing blocks. These 6 blocks cover 72 spacings.
The standard components supplied with the Framon machine enable you to originate virtually any safety deposit key. However, for locksmiths who do a large volume of safe deposit work, this kit is available at a time saver. The kit contains 3 different spacing blocks and 3 different width slotting cutters. The kit is available in different ways, either the spacing blocks by themselves or the blocks with the 3 cutters. And as with all Framon components, each item is available individually. Framon makes a wide variety of cylinder cutters for practically any application. For locksmiths who do a large quantity of a particular manufacturer, such as Schlage, a cutter is available with the exact factory angle and flat. Framon only recommends buying additional cutters if original pins are being used and a large quantity of keys are being cut, such as with a master key job. Otherwise, the standard FC8445 cutter can be used without any problem. Also available are high-speed steel and solid carbide slotters for your new code machine. High-speed steel slotters are available in widths of 20, 30, 45, 55, 66, and 88 thousandths of an inch. Solid carbide slotters are available in widths of 35, 45, 55, 66, 88, and 103 thousandths of an inch. For locksmiths who do a large quantity of best or falcon keys, or prefer not to use the shim for the few automotive keys that tip in the vise, a thicker double-sided vise is available to hold these keys without tipping. An attachment is also available for cutting Tibby-type keys found on some Ford and Jaguar models. The attachment consists of a vise to hold the key, a washer, and solid carbide cutter. The attachment slips onto the number 2 easily and makes cutting these profitable keys simple and quick. All Framon machines are preset at the factory, but if the need arises to adjust your machine, it is a very simple matter to adjust. All Framon machines are designed to be adjusted in increments of 1/1000th of an inch. To adjust the depth on the Framon number 2 code machine, begin by making a single cut to a known depth on any scrap key blank. Measure that cut with the dial caliper. If it does not measure out properly, simply loosen the set screw on the depth wheel and reset it to the reading that was indicated by the dial caliper. The spacing is just as easy to adjust. Begin by closing the vise without a key blank in it. Run the vise as far over to the left as it will go and then bring it back to 106 thousandths of an inch. This will place the right-hand edge of the vise exactly parallel to the right-hand edge of the standard cutter. Use a straight edge to compare the 2 surfaces and make sure they are parallel. If not, adjust the machine so that they are parallel, and then reset the spacing wheel to 106, the same way you'd adjust the depth wheel. You have just seen some of the highlights and capabilities of the Framon No. 2 code machine. Much more information on the machine is contained in the spacing and depth manual, which is provided with the machine. The Framon No. 2 code machine was designed by a locksmith for a locksmith. It is without a doubt the most advanced key-cutting machine in the world today.